Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Conversations Live, where we bring you the best in music, books, entertainment, and current events. When the movers and shakers of the world have something to say to you, they say it to us. Now, here is your host, Cyrus Webb.
And welcome back, everyone, to Conversations Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. As you guys know, I love a great book. And more importantly, I love being able to speak to authors of great books, to be able to not only just share their journey with all of you, but also to talk a little bit about the characters they've been able to create. I'm really excited to welcome to our program today author Solange Ritchie. She's the author of the new book, The Burning Man, and it is really a fascinating read. We're going to tell you a little bit later how you can get the book for yourself and stay connected with Solange. But we also talked to her about justice and how it definitely plays out in the book, especially in the main character she's been able to create, which is pathologist Catherine Powers. There's a lot of great things about Catherine for us to discuss, as well as, of course, let you guys know what you should expect from the book as well. But Solange, hello to you, and welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. It's nice to talk to you.
Hey, the pleasure's definitely all mine. As I said, I really enjoyed this book. We'll be sharing a little bit later how our listeners can get it. But, you know, I should say, too, for those who are just hearing about you, many people know you as an attorney, but now you have this new profession of writing, and it's definitely obvious in the creation of the characters in The Burning Man, Solange, that you are a person with an eye for detail. What has it been like for you to share your love affair of words with us?
Well, I've always been passionate about words. I was in high school. I was affectionately known as the novelist, and I guess it's true to form that it's finally paid out. As a lawyer, I write every day professionally, telling people stories to judges by word of mouth and also on paper. But to write creatively and to be able to basically create characters has been so rewarding and so much of a joy for me. It opens a different part of your brain, I think. And so I'm really, really enjoying it, and, of course, enjoying all the wonderful reception that the book is getting.
Yeah. Does that make it even more rewarding for you, Solange? Because I can only imagine how much time you spent with these characters and getting it just the way you wanted it, of course, before we're able to read it. Does the response to it make all of that hard work and all of the time in between worthwhile?
Yes, most definitely. I really struggled with the ending of this book. I wanted something, so many times you read a book and you get to the ending and you go, that's it, that's all. And you're kind of disappointed, and I wanted the suspense in The Burning Man to kind of linger and to build. And it's been really wonderful to hear from people that, their hearts were pounding out of their chests as they read the last few chapters. And then, of course, not to be a spoiler, but there's a surprise ending, which
there is.
Leaves the reader wanting more. So... Mm-hmm. So yes, it's been that part has been very rewarding, and the book took about 6 years to write. I actually took a year off writing it because I struggled so much with the ending. But it's been very, very rewarding, and I'm really enjoying the reception that it's getting.
Yeah, we're not even going to talk about the ending, Solange, because I did not see the way the story unfolded coming. So for those who are wondering what are they talking about, you all will have to get The Burning Man. We'll tell you a little bit later how you can get it. But I want to talk about something else, because there is this whole theme about justice. And what I love about The Burning Man is that, as I said, you have this pathologist that kind of is the main focus of the book in many ways, because she's this pathologist and this person that really is trying to get to literally to the heart of who this person is that is doing these horrible things. But what I love about Catherine, or Cat as she's affectionately called in the book, is that she is human. She's not superhuman. She's not superwoman. She doesn't have any extraordinary powers. She's just an individual. Was that part of the fun of creating her, is that she had this enormous responsibility in her profession that really in many ways was asking a lot of an imperfect individual?
Yes, I wanted her to be, I wanted her to be driven in her career, which I think a lot of women can really relate to. But I also wanted her to be human and to have a side of her that, I think, frankly, career women really relate to, as far as juggling. I hate to use the term work-life balance, but that's really what she's doing. It's like
right.
She's so driven in her career, and she knows she has to do a good job, but she's leaving her child at home and wondering how he's doing, and they have a very close bond with each other. But I thought that persona was very important to bring out right at the very beginning of the book, because I thought it would really be relatable to many women. And I've had a lot of lawyers read the book and tell me that they really relate to that scene where she's in the cab and has to leave for this big case, and she doesn't want to turn around to see her little boy crying as she drives away. So
yeah.
So
I'm sorry. I was just going to say, Solange, the other thing that got me up in line with what you were just saying was that, and I think about this too, and I've talked to my friends, and my regular listeners know, Solange, I'm a single guy, and that's why I have no life other than my work, and I'm very happy in that regard. But there is an interesting dichotomy that happens with Catherine of she is so respected, so revered in her profession, and she seems to have everything together. But then in her personal life, because of the sacrifices she's made because of work, it definitely lacks in that. Was that part of the fun of that balance with her, of showing this woman who is able to do so many things professionally, but was showing, personally that there were things that sometimes suffered because of that?
Yes, definitely. And that's, I don't know if you know, but I've written, there are three or four more books that I've already written with her character. And part of the character arc with her will be this continuing relationship between her and Joey and how it's going to play out eventually.
Yeah.
So yes, that was definitely part of the plan to humanize her and make her, she's such a strong, capable woman in a man's world in her work life, but in her personal life, yes, there are cracks and there are flaws and there are things that she worries about with raising her son. And again, I think that those qualities make her, a human being, and they make her relatable. And I think they endear her to the reader.
Exactly. We see that a lot in one of my favorite chapters, in Chapter 30 of the book. I'm actually going to talk more about that in the character McGregor that you bring up there. But for those who are just tuning in, either on the radio dial or online, you're listening to Conversations Live. Excited to welcome to our program today Solange Ritchie. We're talking to her not only about her new book, The Burning Man. We'll be reminding you all a little bit later how you can get it, but also about the main character in the book, pathologist Dr. Catherine Powers, or Cat as she's referred to quite a bit in the book, and about the journey for justice that she goes through and at what cost she goes through it. One of the characters that she is kind of aligned with in the book is the character McGregor. I mean, was it important for you, Solange, for her to have someone that was not only a sounding board, but someone that was also a support system for her professionally?
Yes, definitely. I think that, McGregor is a secondary character, but I think he's important because, she's initially brought into a crime scene where there's already been, three bodies that have been located, and so he provides the backstory on those. More importantly, I think I think a lot of local cops would have a problem with the FBI coming in and taking over their investigation and that kind of thing, and he doesn't have any of that resentment. So I think it's important, as far as that goes, that they form like a little team together. And he's an important character, and he doesn't judge her in any way, which I think is also very important to her because, again, she's in a very male-dominated field, and she's constantly getting, judged and questioned about her capabilities and her conclusions on things.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that is a great thing. There's also another side to this book, which is a great thing about books, I think, and television series especially, is that we're able to get a well-rounded view of all the characters, including the antagonist. In Chapter 20 of the book, Kat is talking about, or at least referring to, the person that is kind of at the heart of all this mayhem. And this is what you wrote, for those who have the print edition of the book, on page 138, Solange. Newspapers were filled with speculation about what it was he could want: her job, money, more victims, compassion, forgiveness, a place in her heart. Kat knew he wanted none of these. He wanted to be understood for being himself. And I thought, wow, what a clever line, because I think at the end of the day, we all kind of want that personal validation. We all kind of want to be seen, to be recognized, and to know that who we are matters. What was it like for you to realize what the antagonist in this story, of course, that you wrote, what it was that he wanted, and to be able to show a side of that?
Well, one of the things that I did with this book was a lot of research on serial killers, and I probably have, I can't tell you how many books, and a file about 3 inches thick, because once you start researching it, research leads to research leads to research. And so it was really exciting to see how serial killers they're almost broken into subcategories, and to be able to pick and choose which of those characteristics I was going to use. I wanted the serial killer to be somebody that you could not necessarily empathize with, but you could understand why he was the way he was. And that mentality came out of watching movies and reading books such as Silence of the Lambs, because I'm a big Thomas Harris fan. And one of the things with the Silence of the Lambs that's never really explained is why our wonderful Dr. Hannibal Lecter is as crazy as he is. And so that was kind of one of the sounding boards for this book, is to not only make Catherine a real-life person and a person with qualities that people could identify with, but also to bring you inside the head of the Burning Man and to show you a bit of his childhood abuse that leads people to understand, maybe not empathize, but to understand why he is the way he is. So, and that was really fun to do that. It was just, anytime you have to immerse yourself in that, it's quite interesting.
Right, exactly. I have to say, you mentioned earlier about the response, and it has to be, again, one of the exciting things to hear from readers. But we as readers, Solange, as a reader yourself, you know this, we can be quite greedy and persistent and also a little nagging, especially, when we like something. The inevitable question is, when's the next one coming out? You mentioned already, of course, having other titles that are being written. I mean, do you feel the pressure of that, of a book like this that is getting the response that it's getting? Are you feeling the pressure of that next release?
Actually, not really. I have a really great publicist who's been helping me just set up dates for signings, both in California and in Florida, and then radio and TV. And he's wonderful to work with. So he's kind of taken the pressure off of that part of this. And, basically I have to show up and be nice and answer questions, and that's a good thing. The second and third books were written at a time when The Burning Man was still going through its editing process. So it was almost like I got on I don't want to say got on a roll, but I really did. It was just like the ideas were coming to me, at 3 o'clock in the morning like they normally do. And in the second book, Catherine faces a firefighter by day and a serial arsonist at night. And it's based, again, in Southern California during the time when we have what's called the Santa Ana winds, which are very powerful winds that come down from the mountains.
Right.
So that's that was a very fun book to write. And then the third book, which is called Sex Slayer, shifts the attention of Catherine to an international law firm that, for lack of a better word, is dirty and is involved in female sex trafficking, drugs, and a variety of other items through South Florida. And that idea came to me when I started researching international sex trafficking, which is a crime that affects over 30 million people all over the world and is not really talked about. So, each one of the books, there's the initial kind of seed idea, and then the research happens. And I always have a beginning scene in mind and an ending scene in mind, but the research is really what fleshes out the characters and makes the book come to life.
Right, exactly. For you, is that also part of the adventure of the story, being able to ask yourself the question, what would Kat do, or what would the antagonist do in this situation or that situation?
Oh, yeah, definitely. And definitely, like I say, I always have the first scene in my mind, and I usually have the ending scene. And then the research really helps with making the story real. It drives the characters. It drives the motive. Readers are, I think, with The Burning Man, are somewhat shocked with some of the descriptions of, obviously when you're a pathologist, you have to deal with death and corpses and things like that. But that was all very purposeful. I actually wanted that because otherwise you can't tell the story in a realistic way. And
right.
So that theme will go on, as readers get used to my writing, that theme is persistent throughout the book. There's no dumbing down of the story. And
right.
That's the way I want it. I don't want to sugarcoat things,
Another thing I noticed, Solange, as the book was going on, and it's literally chapter by chapter, I've seen some authors that kind of use song titles or song verses as the soundtrack, for the book that they are writing. You chose some really powerful quotes that ironically tie in so well with the story and with the chapters. How did those come about? Deciding, was that kind of after everything was written that you thought about these quotes that fit each chapter?
No, that actually happened during the writing. I have a little cheat sheet, book of quotes that I use that I've had probably for 15 years, and it's by author and by a category, and it has some wonderful quotes. And so whenever I would, figure out what the next chapter was, I would just look for the quote and use what I thought was appropriate, and that style will continue with each one of the books to come. So that'll be a consistent, ongoing thing.
Yeah. One of my favorite ones. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say I like the idea of setting it's like a little nugget of, it's like a little piece of chocolate that's sitting on top of the cake that you're about to devour, so.
Right. I totally agree.
Yeah.
Now, one of my favorite ones, Solange, was chapter 29 by Samuel Butler. You can do very little with faith, but you can do nothing without it. And I think that to me is a great one for a situation that seems impossible for Kat at that point. But being able to realize that, giving up was not an option for sure. Just a great little nugget, as you said, and, a great addition to every chapter and also to the book overall. I think, and I'm happy to hear there will be more books. I know our listeners will appreciate that as well, Solange, when they are able to read it. I think, too, the idea of meeting your fans, that has to be also a gratifying thing of this 6-year journey for you. Have you gotten used to that aspect of it now talking about your own book, meeting your own fans, and being able to communicate with others as a published author?
Yes, I've really enjoyed the stories that the fans have given me. I haven't had any actual book signings yet, but I have had fans communicate with me by email, and I have a funny story of a lady who I sent a ARC copy, which is advanced reader's copy, and I didn't know at the time, but was all the way in New Zealand because I sent it to her via email. She happened to own a hotel and a bar, and she told me she started reading the book on Friday night, and she said Saturday is her busiest time at the bar, and she said she was literally pouring drinks and stealing reading paragraphs in between, the pours of the drinks and trying to get the mixology right, which I thought was absolutely hysterical. So, that kind of response really is gratifying and wonderful, and it's been a long time coming. So, hopefully there won't be so much more lawyering in my life as opposed to writing for the future. So, although I do love lawyering.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you know what? It's so exciting that you're able to, to share this other love that you have, Solange, as a writer, and we're definitely gracious because of it as well, grateful because of it. Again, everyone, Solange Ritchie has been our guest. Great conversation with you today, Solange. Again, the book is The Burning Man. You guys can get it, of course, from our friends at Amazon.com. And Solange, how can our listeners stay connected with you as well?
They can go to my website, which is Solange Ritchie, SOlangeRitchie.com, and they can read about the book. They can sign up for a free copy of the book there, and we can stay connected there. So, and then I'm also available via email, which is SolangeRitchie@hotmail.com.
All right, so make sure you guys are definitely staying connected with Solange. And Solange, looking forward to talking with you again when Book 2 releases.
Thank you so much. I really appreciated talking with you today.
Hey, the pleasure is definitely all mine. And we thank you, our listeners, for joining us for another great segment of Conversations Live. If you're joining us on the radio side of our program, stay where you are. There's more Conversations Live to come at the bottom of the hour for you. For those joining us online, though, we are going to lose you. So if you came in late and missed part of the conversation, don't worry. Thanks to our online friends, you all can catch the replay right after we go off the air. The link is already available on our social media sites at facebook.com/CyrusWebb or head over to twitter.com/CyrusWebb. Just click on that link, listen to the show completely for free, and even share it with your friends from there. Until next time, I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, saying as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Make sure you take out time to enjoy some good music as well as a great book. Thank you all for choosing Conversations Live. You all make it a great one.